Hey there, Geeks and Geekettes. I'm going to do a comic book collection video. This is going to take some time. I was doing rundown lists of horror movies, comic book movies, and Jimmy Barnes commented on one of them that he would like to see a comic book video. Wow, I was unaware of how many comics I actually own. I've got 4 drawers that are full. I've got comic boxes and stuff just stacked up everywhere. So I'm not going to go through every single one because I've got far too many. But what I'm going to do is sort of go through some of my favourite comics. Now, some of these are not in very good condition. I bought some Silver Age comics knowing they were in bad condition or not great condition, purely to have a piece of history. So I'm going to teleport out of the geek room, as there is not enough room in here to go through these comics, and I shall see you somewhere else. Magic. So as well as all of these comic books, I've got put a photo here instead of digging them out because I've got hundreds of them. It's sort of fortnightly collector's issues, which puts a few comic book stories together. I've got X-Men, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four from the 90s, obviously my graphic novels. I've got tons of stuff. I didn't realise how much I had until I started to pull all this out for this video, so I hope you enjoy. Well, the first comics I owned and remember buying, obviously from the 90s, and it was X-Men comics. I've got more of these somewhere, just can't get my hands on them, but I picked up sort of foil editions. I'm not sure if that hologram will show. Maybe it does. Hologram editions for X Factor, and basically I picked up all of these hologram issues. I picked up the full run for the Fatal Attractions storyline where Magneto rips the adamantium from Wolverine's body. I also have a stack of these. Now I know they're not worth anything, and I've still bagged and bought them just as a keepsake because I've missed so many #1 issues, but I stopped collecting comics for a long time. Financial reasons. I rebought them all on these True Believers #1 issues just so I could actually read them. And I have a stack probably about this big of Deadpool graphic novels and trades. So some of my oldest comics, and obviously these are not mine, or they are mine now, but these are not mine from when I was a kid because these are older than me. Basically DC War, Our Army at War. This is Sergeant Rock. It's got the old sort of stamp there. This is yellow to hell and came in a box with other comics that they hadn't been looked after, they were just stacked up. The gentleman passed away that owned these comics, and his wife contacted me to see if I wanted to buy the whole lot. And I was aware they were smoke damaged, some of them had been damp at some point, but these are comics I would never have been able to get my hands on otherwise. There's things like The Invaders, which is Marvel, Werewolf by Night versus Brother Voodoo, Skull the Slayer, something I'd never heard of until I bought these comics, some old Green Lantern runs, Marvel's Red Sonja, there's a few Conans in here too, Eternals, really old Daredevil, and then we've got some of these giant comics, but it's a giant Lois Lane, Superman's girlfriend. It's more of a girly comic, but it was in with a box, dated 1971. Marvel Tigra the Werewoman, Batman and Batgirl. I think this was it the first appearance of something? I'm not sure, but this was in the box of comics I bought, and when I looked it up online, this is actually worth quite a bit. It's not in the greatest of condition, but still worth a lot. It's got some very old Teen Titans there. Some old Miss Marvel, there's quite a run of these. More Eternals. DC Strange Adventures. I mean, Adam Strange. We've got some classic era Iron Man, Invincible Iron Man, and we've got Captain America and the Falcon. I'm just skimming through because there's a lot of these. They're absolutely everywhere. So we got some Iron Fist, more Invincible Iron Man. See if there's some dates on these. Can't find the year, but even look at the adverts. It's the letters to Stan Lee that used to be featured in the comics, and Stan would reply. More Iron Fist, Champions with Hercules, Deathlock the Demolisher, more Captain America and Falcon, more Captain Marvels, but this time with obviously Marvel. Very early Inhumans comic. The Thing and Black Goliath. Got a few of these Shang-Chi's and the Master of Kung Fu, and there's a movie of that coming out, so maybe that'll raise the value of these. And a very old Fantastic Four comic book. Even older still is this Doc Savage novel length thriller. This is from 1976, and it is Stan Lee presents Doc Savage. And obviously there's no colour in this at all. A very old book. Got some old, I mean, you can see the state on some of these. The ends are all ripped and curled and peeling, but I bought them anyway. 1971 Superman's Greatest Battles. This is battered as well, but I knew what I was buying. This is an 80-page Batman, number 193. Now, it's never going to be worth anything because of the condition. This is a 1967 comic, and despite the bad condition, I wanted to read it. It was in with that bundle, and there's more of these sort of giant Superboy, Superman from the 60s and 70s. 1970 Superboy, I'm guessing that's around the same time, and obviously adverts on the back. So I've got those sort of older comics that I love. Then I have I've got more Shang-Chi, more Iron Fist, Punisher, it's in the wrong pile, Tales of Suspense, Marvel all-colour comics, Tales of Strange Tales featuring Doctor Strange. I think that's a very old Marvel comic, as is that. There's even stuff I've never heard of, like DC Superstars of Space, Adam Strange and a Dynamic Otherworld Adventure with the Star Rovers, who look suspiciously like the Fantastic Four. And more of these foil comics. I should put them to one side. Oh, there. This is going to be boring to edit. So then I've got some modern stuff. January 99, The Amazing Spider-Man, first spectacular issue, The Legend Reborn. So Nick Fury's Howling Commandos, number 1. It's an old looking New Guardians, DC Comics. I have no idea where I've got that from. I've got some Armor Wars, Onslaught number 1. I think this is most of my number 1s yet. So we've got Captain Marvel, Spider-Man Family. I picked this up in a Comic-Con for a couple of pence, and it turns out to be quite a valuable issue. I've got a load of these Marvel one-shots. This is Fantastic Four, Death in the Family. I've got one-shots everywhere. Then I've got some deceased DC line number 1s. and basically variant editions, because I do like to collect DC #1 Batmans. Also got #1 Year of the Villain. This is probably the most recent comic that I've bought. Detective Comics issue 1000. At some point that may be worth something. I had that in a mystery box of all places. Batman Who Laughs, Grim Knight. 100th issue Batman Legends of the Dark Knight. I bought that at Comic Con. I think that's worth money. And then Batman and Superman World's Finest. I've got some of these. And they were in bargain bins at Comic Cons. I've picked them up. They were far more money than I paid for them. One of my favourites that I own is Judgment in Gotham, or Judgment on Gotham, and it's a Batman and Judge Dredd crossover by Simon Bisley, Alan Grant and John Wagner. Now, I grew up reading Judge Dredd before anything else because A, it's a British comic, and my dad, when I was a kid, loved 2000 AD. He had the annuals and he had Judge Dredd comics. He'd read them and then give them to me. So I then got into Batman, and this just seemed like a perfect mix. There's obviously Judge Death on the back of it, one of my favourite comic book villains. So actually a very good read. 1992 Batman Gotham Tales. So I'm not sure if they would be originals that I owned if I picked them up somewhere else, to be honest. Then I've got stuff like this with different covers, variant covers, Force Works, obviously Spider-Woman and Iron Man. I'm not sure if it'll show up on camera, but there's a diamond cut in the front of the comic. Got Inhumans versus X-Men #0 and #1. Deadpool Back in Black #1. I wonder when the Deadpool comics are. So we've got some giant size X-Men, Spider-Woman Origins, it's a #1 issue. So there's sort of a brief overview of the randoms in my collection. I'm not going to go through all of my Punisher comics, but I have a lot of the Punisher Warzone and just straight up old school Punisher. And then we've got Punisher Max by Garth Ennis, one of my favourite runs. Now none of these sets are complete. Basically what happened was one of my friends, or my best friend, Mike Davis, he's trying to collect all of the Punisher comics, literally everything. And some of the doubles he had, because he had to buy them in sort of bulk packs, he gave to me, and then I started putting them into sort of runs, like the Jigsaw puzzle. I think I've got all 6 of them. And I ended up, out of his doubles, trying to start my own Punisher collection. Things like Punisher Nightmare, some older school Punisher, more Punisher Warzone, more Nightmare, Punisher 2099, I've got a few of them, Space Punisher, more Punisher Max, just tons and tons of Punisher comics. Punisher is one of my sort of favourite comic book characters in regards to characters that are not super powered. I'll show this one first. Just, I have no idea where this came from. I'm guessing again it's from Mike, but this is Archie Ramone from the Ramones, IDW Publishing, Alan Roberts Trilogy. That's got to have been from Mike. This is a full run, and it is the Sons of Anarchy Redwood original, and this is basically the prequel story to the Sons of Anarchy TV series, and it's by Boom Comics. It's a 12-issue run. 12-issue run, and yeah, I have the full run, and I really enjoyed this. They did get the characterization right, even though it's sort of a young Jax and Opie. It's sort of a teenage Jax and Opie story before they join the club officially. it's them as prospects, and it does fill in some of the backstory in a comic book style. So that would be my third place of every sort of comic run that I own. Second place is House of Golden Bones. Now, I'm a massive Slipknot fan, I'm a massive Corey Taylor and Stone Sour fan. And Corey Taylor and Stone Sour did an album called The House of Golden Bones, which is a concept double album, and then they did a comic to fill in the gaps and to help you out with the story. And I absolutely love this run, and this was a birthday gift off Michael Davis. So my number one run, and it's the biggest run I own, is Image Comics Spawn, and that is the original number one issue. That's not a reprint. I believe that's quite valuable, and that's what takes up about 3/4 of this box, is that original Spawn run. I'm not going to pull these out. So it goes up to Spawn 85, and there's Spawn Blood and Shadows graphic novel. 88. Spawn the movie, so it goes up to number 88, and there's a Spawn the movie comic book as well to finish off. So yeah, that's my number one, is the Spawn 88 issue run, all the original run there. I bought these in a bundle from Mike Davis again, and the original owner of this run of Spawn comics was the singer from Funeral for a Friend. So, interesting story to go with it. And then sort of I have the last few issues of The Walking Dead, the original prints, and going up in value. Bought my stepdaughter all of these Harley Quinn 25th anniversary. There were 7 or 8 covers, so we've got all them. I bought them for her, but she's given them back to me, I imagine just for safekeeping. She's got things like Spider-Gwen number 1, House of M. She picked up X-Men 92, and just some bonus stuff. I do collect New 52 number 1s. I also have a few of these, I can never say this word, amalgam comics, where they've mixed Captain America and Superman into the Super Soldier. I think I've got Wonder Woman, which mixes Wonder Woman and Storm. I don't have Dark Claw, which is Wolverine and Batman. Got some Thor number 1s. I've done them in a recent video. Another New 52 number 1. New 52 Justice League of America number 1. Doctor Strange Fate was another amalgam comic. Oh, there we go. Amazon, which is Storm mixed with Wonder Woman. New 52 holographic cover, Batman Detective Comics number 1. And then I've got Suicide Squad Rebirth number 1, Justice number 1, Harley Quinn Rebirth number 1, Superman Rebirth number 1, DC Universe Rebirth All-Star Batman, 2 variant covers, Deathstroke number 1, Deathstroke number 1 variant, Rebirth Nightwing, whoop, Arkham, Suicide Squad. I thought this was a rare comic, and then after I bought it I realised it was from Free Comic Book Day. And more True Believers. So there we have it, a brief run through of my comic book collection. This is nowhere near all of it. This was my select picks. I've got some really random stuff. I've got a lot of Garth Ennis stuff outside of sort of The Boys and Marvel Comics and Punisher, including one where he's drawn nothing but penises. I'll put a photo of that in here maybe. So guys, let me know what you think of the collection. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. It helps the channel to grow. Please go and check out my giveaway video where you could win yourself a box full of goodies once I reach 300 subscribers. Let me know what you thought of this. I know it was a very quick run through. The video is probably going to be about 20 minutes long, and that's for me to skim over some of my comics. If I'd done a full collection, that would probably be a couple of hours video, especially if I'd gone into any sort of length with some of the comics, how I got them or what year they were, and doing research. I can't be arsed with all that. So thanks for tuning in. I've been the Bearded Geek. That was the select picks of my comic book collection. Goodbye. So, more Deadpool True Believers. Fuck, delete that out because who gives a shit? Corona. Flew with clout.